I guess there's an old cliche, the Lord tests us. I've been tested. Jim Spina's been tested. Jim Seneca has been tested. Enough already about the snow, sleet, wind. Please, enough already. I'm getting tired of it, folks. Good morning. It's March the 3rd, 2014. Another edition of Weber This Week on another blustery, cold, miserable morning. And yes, they say it's going to be 40 by Friday. It can't get here fast enough. I don't know about you folks, but the dog, as I approach my 69th birthday in a couple of months, I need to tell you, I've had it. My wife's ready to kill somebody. It'd probably be me first. But we're tired of this miserable weather. And oh, by the way, if you're doing stats, just Jim Spina can figure this out as well. February was the worst cold temperatures in 20 years. With it, we introduce my longtime friend Jim Spina, who joins us on the couch this morning for our program. Jim, good to have you along, as usual.
Glad to be here. I always love coming.
Jim, let's talk about, first off, we're going to talk to Jimmy about his role. He oversees the recreational department of the town of Seneca Falls. A lot of staff, a lot of things on his plate. We're going to get into talking to Jimmy about his role and what his day-to-day functions are, and I'm sure they're quite hectic. But let's talk about some world of sports, and let's focus in and get Jim Spina and Jim Seneca, who certainly will have some comments. SU basketball, we're in a situation now, both gyms, that a lot of speculation after the Virginia blowout, 40-40 game. Virginia outscores Syracuse down the stretch, 35-16, wins it by 16, 18 points. Jim Spina, your thoughts on SU basketball? We talked before we came on the air about, in my view, they need much more out of, at least some more out of Keita and Christmas. What's your feeling about SU basketball?
Yeah, I agree with you, Harold. I think that those two guys, you and I talked before we went on, that if we can somehow from that position, that center position, just get double-figure points,
bingo,
double-figure rebounds,
right?
They'll be fine. And and obviously they got to stay out of foul trouble. Every time we've been in foul trouble,
yeah, that's right.
I mean, and this week and in the past, CJ the game before,
right.
The Duke game, both
right.
big guys, both bigs with 4.
Right.
So, and they're fine. I mean, it need to be deeper, but, I think come tournament time, that 2-3 zone is going to be tough on everybody.
It's going to be interesting. Now we'll switch over to the SU graduate. Certainly he's had better moments coming into Saturday night's party at the country club. I could tell he was a little distraught after watching that game. Jimmy, or you didn't get a chance probably to watch it since you were up in Rochester. Any concerns, Jimmy, as you look forward to the last 2 regular season games in the ACC? Do you have any issues?
I watched it.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
Blue Cross.
Yeah. Do you agree
4.
with us regarding the big guys inside? Got to do more for scoring wise.
I think they got to be healthy. I think they're not going to beat anybody without Jeremy Grant.
Right.
I wish Boeheim would go a little deeper and play Roberson more, so when Grant gets hurt, he's ready to go. Mm-hmm. I don't like to criticize Boeheim too much, but if that's one thing I'd like to see is, Tyler Roberson looks like a good player, and Grant was out, and Roberson's not quite ready because he hasn't been playing too much. But I think it's kind of unfair that we got to go. We only get to play Virginia in Virginia.
Right.
I think they shot the lights out. I don't think they'll shoot like that again.
They got a shot at playing them again in the ACC.
But I think Syracuse this time of year traditionally has a little bit of a dip because Boeheim plays 6 guys, 7 guys sometimes. And they get tired, and the competition gets tougher. But if it's anything like last season when they swooned in late February, they'll be fine because then they went to the Final Four. So I think they'll pull it together. But my biggest concern is Jeremy Grant's back. Yeah, I hope that they play tomorrow night against Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he'll be ready. If not, I'd rather see him rest.
Sit him.
Yeah, he's got to get better if we're going to make a run.
And, of course, 2 more regular season games, folks. If you're keeping track, SU plays Georgia Tech at home tomorrow night. Another 30,000 crowd, no doubt expected. And then Sunday, they wrap it up. I believe it's a 2 o'clock game on Sunday against Florida State in Florida against the Seminoles. And then, of course, they get ready for the ACC. Of course, the loss to Virginia. Syracuse now ranked 4th in the country. I guess, Jim, they'll drop a couple more spots, I would suspect, tonight when the polls come out.
Maybe not as much because so many other teams lost as well. They might hold. I mean, I think the voters know Virginia's good, too. So, and maybe they drop 1 or something. They're still a top 5 team, So they
are, and of course, there's speculation amongst the Dick Vitales, who was commenting about SU losing to Virginia. You don't know whether Dick's a pro Boeheim or against Boeheim most of the time when he talks, but he was talking about that they're in serious jeopardy of retaining that number 1 seed. Of course, a few weeks ago they were considered the number 1 overall seed. Right. And now the question is, will they get one of the 4 seeds, number 1 seeds? And Vitale said that they're on the, I don't know the terminology that Vitale used in his post-game comments, but he said Jimmy is in trouble of maybe losing that. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Would they give it to Wichita State? I mean, I know they're 31-0, but to both gyms, they don't play a whole lot. No, I mean, seriously.
They really don't. But 31-0 is still 31-0.
Impressive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mid-major teams that aren't 31-0.
Right.
Exactly. No, you're right. So it's going to be interesting. But hang in there, SU, as we go down the stretch, literally. And I know we're all excited about March Madness. And it starts, a week and a half away from now. So.
Great time of year. Actually, to me, it always starts come tournament time. The conference tournaments are just as much fun.
Jim Spina is our guest this morning on Weber This Week. We got a little trivia for you. Maybe you can correct us. And I as I say, I'm getting 69-ish. But I'm sure maybe a viewer or two might be checking us out this morning. It might be a little bit older than a dog. Let's hope you are. And I hope you're feeling good health as well. But do you recall a time where all 4 Seneca County schools made it to the sectional finals? It happened this year. Minders, Waterloo, South Seneca, Romulus. In the girls sector, all made it to the finals. And, of course, a couple of them are left. I ask you if you have information that you can argue the point and say that, yes, it's happened before, either on the boys' side or the girls' side. I would love you to call Finger Lakes 1 and tell us when about that happened, because I can't recall. I've been doing this since 1970. I've been following sports all my life, but I've been broadcasting since 70. I don't recall 4 Seneca County schools making it to the finals. And, Jimmy Spina, you don't remember it ever happening?
I don't.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I never gave that a thought until you brought it up this morning that all 4 teams had
so it's pretty impressive.
So much success.
South Seneca, Romulus, Seneca Falls, Minders, Waterloo.
Yep.
Yeah. And Mid-Lakes was in the final.
And Mid-Lakes, right. All right, let's run down some of the games that took place. If you have that information, if you recall it happening, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. By the way, let's talk about the girls first. Let's show credit to the ladies. The Lions girls, another outstanding season, as they seem to have it every year. Taking on Avon tonight. That game will be in Waterloo. That will be after the Romulus game. So that will be in Waterloo tonight. There's a twin bill there. I'll be getting over there to check out that action. I'm looking forward to seeing the Romulus girls. We'll get to that in a minute. Lions girls, no surprise, once again, just putting up the W's. Also, let's talk about the Minders girls, one of those 4 Seneca County schools that made it to the finals. Jerry Anderson, Jim Spina is certainly a good friend of Jerry's, as I am, and Jim Senecropi. 4-14 during the regular season, but as Jim, you pointed out before we come out on the air, the competition level is tough.
Yeah, they're playing in the East, C school, playing Newark and Geneva and Waterloo and Penyon and all those guys, and it battle tests you, and our girls can play a little bit. I mean, they were young,
right?
He's got 8th grader Heidi Miller is going to be terrific,
phenomenal,
and and he brought her up late. He let her kind of mellow a little bit and get ready for what she was doing. And Jerry's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. He's committed to how he wants to get to where he's going. But just in one season, just watching them play those tougher teams, now they were ready for their competition. And and from all, I wasn't there, but from all reports they could have won that game. They could very easily have won that game the other night. So,
exactly. So congratulations to Jerry and the MA girls. No shame in defeat. You guys had an outstanding season. Forget about your regular season record, but when the light came on at playoff time, and like we always say in the NBA, I don't know why you play the NBA 82 games. To me, it's just ridiculous. I don't think I've watched 5 seconds of an NBA game this year. I really don't. I might have watched 10 seconds with LeBron, a couple of slam dunks, but that's basically it. Because really, it's all about the playoffs. And credit to the MA girls for having a great season. And to Jerry Anderson from all of us here at Finger Lakes One Sports. Well, of course, you take a look at the South Seneca girls, another great season. They lose to Keshequa the other day. Another phenomenal season for the South Seneca ladies. Congratulations goes out to the South End as well.
They're young, too. They
are young.
2 or 3 freshmen, and they're going to get better.
And by the way, we had the Romulus girls. We had Olivia Brandow and Jessica Ronian on the program here a couple of weeks ago. The Romulus girls just keep on motoring. Head coach Damon Nicholson undefeated, and they're going to play tonight versus Prattsburg. That game will be in Waterloo, 6 o'clock tip. The dog will definitely be there, God willing. I'm looking forward to seeing the Romulus girls for the very first time And Jimmy, they got height, they got skills, and they've played some tough competition, and they just keep on motoring.
They do. And I said before we went on the air that Damon and Susie Nicholson, Damon and Susie, Damon, that program, he's involved all the way through the grade 5, and they have such continuity. Charlie Luffman is gentleman here lives in town, runs the scrapyard, coaches there. He coached here at Seneca Falls and at my community center for such a long time, then went out to help his friend Damon when the opportunity arose. Charlie, I think, actually still coaches the 7th and 8th grade rec travel team while doing the JV team as well.
That's awesome.
So they're so plugged in, and they just really, they're one of those reload type programs now.
Right.
Sure.
Their kids are always tough and always ready to play ball, and they do a nice job, and good luck to them. That team could go really far.
Yeah, and they had to survive an overtime game in the semis.
Yes.
Exactly. So congratulations to Damon. Looking forward to seeing him tonight and play some good old basketball. That game, of course, tonight. They will take on Prattsburg again. Tip-off time, 6 o'clock, followed by the Lions-Avon game at 7:30. And what else can we say about Mike Bree and the Waterloo girls? Once again, they just reload. They just keep on motoring along. They don't get a lot of scoring out of Lauren Deming the other day, but Chelsea Steinruck, the outstanding junior, cashes in for 18. She's voted MVP. And congratulations. By the way, the Romulus girls, Jessica Rohn, who was here on the couch where Jim's sitting, she voted MVP in her game the other day as well. So the Waterloo girls, what can you say? Both gyms, they just keep on playing. And the good thing is that Chelsea scores 18 to lead the way. Lauren Deming scores but 7, and they still win.
Yeah. And again, another one of those battle-tested teams. They've been there. I think they graduated just Haley Wright, I think, was it.
She was a lone senior last year.
And, they're all back, and they got, some really nice role players. And, that's another team. Although they're tomorrow night, Bishop Kearney's very good.
They are.
But very much in Waterloo's wheelhouse there. That's something they can do.
That game will be at Canandaigua tomorrow night. Canandaigua Academy, 6 o'clock tip-off time tomorrow night. The Waterloo girls, coached by Mike Bree, a phenomenal year against Bishop Kearney. Get in your car. The weather's supposed to be decent. Out cold, of course, but decent. Get up there to check out the Waterloo girls and support them. So, and by the way, I must take a little credit for having these guys on the show, because I noticed that something I was thinking about this morning while I was having my breakfast. We had Chelsea Steinruck and Amanda Webb in here a few weeks ago for Waterloo, and then we had Jessica Rohn and Olivia Brandow here in. Oh, by the way, Chelsea Steinruck MVP this past weekend. Jessica Rohn MVP in their game. So I don't know.
Bump.
We call it the Weber bump.
Maybe it's a chance for me.
Maybe. You'll probably get a raise when you leave here. But, it's called the Weber bump. So if you want to come on the show, if you're not scoring many points, sit on the couch, do the show, and who knows, your scoring average might improve. I thought that was kind of neat. Both of those ladies, both on the couch here for the show, and they both got MVP honors. To Jessica Rohn from Romulus and to Chelsea Steinruck. By the way, speaking of Chelsea, she has visions of becoming a sportscaster like Madison Hillmeyer, who was on the show several weeks ago. She did a show with the dog. We had a lot of fun doing that. I've invited Chelsea Steinruck to come in here with the cameras rolling and so forth to do a show. We hope to get her in here to do that sometime. I think there's an April school break.
Yep.
Sometime in April. So hopefully that'll be down the roads for you Chelsea Steinruck fans. We'll have her come in and do the show. And Jim's looking for a replacement for me anyway, so he's got a choice of either Madison or Chelsea. Either one can do the job, and the dog will be.
Either one's got the job if they want it.
You better.
I was just gonna say.
You better be careful. You might get Wally pipped. You get sick or something. You might never come back.
Hey, listen. My wife says I can't believe you're still doing this after 40 years. But you know what? And they got beauty as well. Not only skills, but beauty. So Chelsea Steinruck, no doubt, will be making an appearance for doing a show, and we should have some fun with that. Hey, let's talk about Heartbreak City. This show, we always talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. To the Geneva girls, I know that I spent a lot of time with my wife Mary up there because my granddaughter Izzy's a sophomore at Geneva. She's a cheerleader. We support her. We try to get as many games. I don't get to as many games as Mary gets to. Mary's a traveling squad. She makes all the travels up to the Blue Cross, the big house, and so forth. But I got to tell you, the Geneva girls, they say the Lord tests us with this weather. Hey, Geneva girls, I know the Lord tested you with this loss against Wayne. You're up by 2 with 10.7 seconds to go. Wayne scores the equalizer with about 4 seconds to go. Geneva inbounds the ball, stolen by Wayne. Ball in the air, rims around, and goes in nearly at the buzzer. You talk about a heartbreak loss, Jim. That had to be just gut-wrenching. But I'm saying here to the Geneva girls, We're proud of you. I've seen you guys play all year long. You guys have done an outstanding job. I know it's hard for me to say, hang in there. That's a tough one to take.
Yeah, that's
a heartbreak city.
How do you justify that in your mind when it's done? The game's in your hands, and 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, if you're a professional, it's bad enough.
I know.
You're 16, 17, you spent 5 months. Basketball's so long.
It's over.
And it's over on something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's tough.
Up by 2 with about 10 seconds to go and you lose by a deuce. It's pretty scary. Well, listen, we got Jim Spina on the couch, and we're going to take a break now. We'll run down our commercials, come back, talk about Jim's responsibilities, then we're going to get to the boys. We'll give you a little break and talk about the boys, where they stand, and I'll tell you something, Brian Miller's got them crushing. Speaking of Geneva, they got them rolling yesterday as they just steamrolled Batavia at the Big House. We'll come back with more after we hear from our great sponsors. Eagle Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Steve Muller Motors, smullermotors.com. Quality, affordable vehicles, both foreign and domestic. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater, in Lions as well as the New York Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. Lizard's Tailgater Lounge, Waterloo. Best mott sticks around, where you can enjoy a drink and some laughs. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com. Awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in central New York. That'd be number 16. Wilson Press, wpress.com. Seneca Falls, Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. And by the way, folks, we're welcome back. The dog here with you on another miserable Monday morning in the Finger Lakes. I don't know about you, but boy, I'm getting tired of this. I'm just getting really tired of this, and it is getting really on our nerves. But you know, you got to just hang in there, I guess. It should get warmer by August. In all seriousness, we're going to talk to Jimmy about, Jimmy, your role. Of course, you work for the town of Seneca Falls. You've been involved in your recreation services since I've known you. What's going on? You got a good-sized staff, I'm sure, running all that you run. And give us a quick snippet of what a day-to-day, week-to-week operation takes place with you.
Yeah, just ask my staff what day-to-day and week-to-week is. I'm telling you.
It's got to be crazy.
I said this last time I was on the show.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed. I mean, you look at Seneca Falls, the size of our community, this community is blessed, and I think they know it because they support it so well.
Yeah,
it's really a suburban style size recreation program with facilities. I say this, very proud. I don't know a community this size that has anything in New York State.
I agree.
Anything similar to what we have, and not just what we have, but the support we get from the town board and you folks that live here. Jim's daughter's plays about everything, and we see Jim in
she's 8 years old, and she has all these things available to her. So she's learned she's developing soccer, lacrosse, basketball, and it's it's all year long, all the different camps.
Yep. Jim and Jim's wife Kathleen coaches for us, and Jim's coached for us in the past, and but you ask the staff. I mean, we're going in 15 different directions because we don't have just a community center. I mean, I think people identify us with that.
But you got a lot more operations.
We got kids' territory. We got Vince's Park. There's a playground down at the lake that we're required to deal with. And then ever since dissolution, holy cow, we've got a lot more mowing and things we're taking care of. We have a volunteer gardeners group that tries to take care of, and we're getting better every year, but we still have a ways to go. I'm trying to take care of, make sure this place looks great in the spring and the summer and the fall.
And then your facility also supports like events like It's a Wonderful Run, for example. Thousands of people in there.
What a craziness this year with the weather. Everybody wanted to be inside. And actually, I was a little nervous about the building this year because there was so many people inside.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
We're addressing that for next year, but we got those kind of things, and then you look at some of the other opportunities. This past weekend, we had our 4th annual. I get together with Mike Saluka at Waterloo, and we do a big boys basketball tournament. and we run it together so that it has that feel of a big event. 30 teams from all over Finger Lakes. Wow. We actually had a team from Elmira, one of the Catholic schools down there. We had 30 teams over the weekend using the community center, Baker Gym, and Waterloo's 2 floors on their main on the high school gym.
Wow, yeah.
And while I'm at it, I'll give a shout out to our boys. We had 3 boys teams in it. 5th grade boys finished 4th. 7th grade boys, which is a combined 6th and 7th grade team, won their division. And the 8th grade boys finished 2nd. So we talk about the success Minders is having. It's still coming. I tell you, we're going to be very well off for a few years.
That's how you build the programs in high school, because you can't recruit kids, obviously, unless you're a private school like Bishop Kearney or but you got to build it at grassroots.
Yep. But speaking every day, we come in. First thing we do, usually maintenance staffs come. I have great staff. Wyatt Nicholson's our groundskeeper. Mark Marquardt, who's a building maintenance mechanic, and then Kenny Eddington's our custodian. They usually meet at about 9 o'clock. Okay, where are we going? What are we doing? What requests have we gotten from a town board member who's seen something or needs something, or just some citizen who's got some issues, and you look. My 3 guys. I mean, the community center still to this day. Of course, I'm a little biased, but it's 12 years old. It's almost 13 years old now.
Amazing.
It doesn't look much different than it did when we opened it.
Yeah.
They really do a nice job, and I'm blessed. And then I have a great assistant. Wendy Carraher is plugged into everything.
Yeah, Wendy's got a lot of games. She's impressive.
She's there, and then and then Esther Patty was our secretary. She retired in December, and we were fortunate enough to get Missy Jones.
Yeah, that's great.
Timmy Jones's wife to come in and step in, and she's in the learning curve now, with the overwhelming at times with the the abstracts and the payrolls and all the things that we do. But she's doing a very nice job.
You mentioned payroll. There's a lot of people that don't get paid too, Jim. Right?
Oh my gosh,
contribute, volunteer.
We couldn't do it without volunteers.
Exactly.
I just got done. We now screen all of our volunteers. And I think we're up to 75 since fall.
That's amazing.
Okay, so, and a lot of these people are doing 2 and 3 teams. I've got people, like Kevin Korzaneski.
Yep.
Speak of, there's a name everybody knows. Kevin coached 3 teams for us at this time, while he was also coaching the Waterloo Modified Boys team.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he steps up, and I've got a lot of people like him who do 1 and 2 and 3 teams without even asking, and we have quality people. You think about the people. We talked about this the other day. I have people like Matt Verkey now, Danielle Worth, Danielle Bonafiglia,
Noreen,
your wife Kathleen, Jody Verkey, Jody Docteur, former Jody Docteur. These people are coaching in our program. You want to know why our kids are learning basketball? These people know basketball.
They know basketball.
The thing about that too is that when we grew up in Seneca Falls, that's how it was for us. I mean, there was all these adults who gave their time and made it available, whether it was biddy basketball with like Tony Petrosha used to run biddy basketball, and so now that we want the same thing for our kids,
right?
And the only way you're going to get it is if you get out there and volunteer and help out, and be
no doubt. You look at somebody like Dave Baker. Everybody knows David. David is on a rec commission. He's on a rec commission. He's been on a rec commission like since 1981. Coaching before then. Right now, David still does. He's involved with our Family Fast Break, which is our preschoolers with the parents. He runs that program. He runs our 2nd grade program. Plus, he coaches the 8th grade travel team, boys. Plus he's officiating. And I got people like him. I got Tim Jones, another one who played here. Tim does an awful lot for us. He actually helps. He's actually a kind of assistant coordinator for the program, because I can't. The program's so huge, I can't do the whole thing.
I can imagine.
So I got on Saturdays. I'll be there in the morning till 11, 12 o'clock. Try to get out of there so I don't go basketball crazy.
Right.
And Timmy steps in and just runs the rest of the day. And and I got David Baker, recruiting officials. We get the high school kids to come down and officiate. He's doing that and training them. And I'm blessed. It takes a lot of people to put this thing together.
By the way, I should point out, there's always an element of some kids coming down there trying to bully themselves around and have some issues. I never hear of that. No. So you obviously must have a pretty good situation where kids are reminded that we're here to have some fun.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
Whether it be in a program or just on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock where kids are coming down to hang out. And I always am very proud of that. That's part of our supervisor's job. We have part-time supervisors. We have some new folks doing that as well. I've got Nora Bonney and Alyssa Moody just joined our staff, and they're good people, and they like kids and they want to be around it. And it's important. A community center is important for all kids, especially it's sometimes more important for those kids that don't have a lot going on at home. You know, they need a place to go.
Right.
And sometimes those kids are the ones that are quickly to get in trouble. We don't have a lot of trouble. I mean, like any place else, there's kids that act up and we have to discipline. But
that's right.
You know, like I said, you're right, and I'm proud of that. You don't see a lot of stuff on the internet. You don't see a lot of stuff in the paper about things going on at the community center.
Well, kudos to you and your team. And again, you're here representing them, but I know you've mentioned a whole bunch of names, and certainly any names that we have forgotten or Jim's forgotten, I send out my best to you because way back when we had, lights by candles, I used to hang out at the rec center way back when, and that was always a spot that we would show up at, and we had a good time. And of course, it's changed. You can't believe what it's changed. It's amazing.
The whole thing has changed as to how kids. We get very few high school kids there anymore. Exactly. We just do. They'll come down to maybe play, maybe half hour to play a game of basketball. They don't socialize there anymore. And I attribute that. I think I even said this maybe last time I was on the show. I attribute it to the car.
I do too.
When we were growing up, I graduated in 1981.
Never had a car.
There was 5 or 6 of us hung together. One of you hoped to con mom or dad out of the car, and you all threw a couple bucks in with gas, and you went and did something. Now, if that same group of 6 kids, 2014,
forget it.
All of them have access to a car. 5 of them will have their own car. It's theirs.
Yeah.
It's a different day and age. We still get a lot of middle school age kids down to the community center. We get quite a bit of that. But the older kids, it's really, they come for a reason now. They don't come to hang out.
And I've always said, go by the Minders Academy lot today and look at the cars. And like you say, some of them are owned by the students. We never had a car. Are you serious? I had a car. My stepfather said, you go out and earn the money to buy a car. Yeah. And but the fact is, the cars in these parking lots at all the schools, and not just picking on Minders, some of them are better than the teachers.
There's no doubt.
So they got money today. They had their automobile. Back then, I used to run from Minders Academy, where I was a lousy student, I might add, and I used to run to Marino's pool hall. That was my day.
Right. I told my kids the story, because my kids are older now, but back when they were younger, I took them to school every morning.
Yeah.
Of course, I had a job, was able to do that. But I tell them that my father worked third shift. You know my dad very well.
Yeah.
My dad was a tough guy.
Yeah.
And he worked third shift at Gould to get home about 7:15, and I'd be just getting ready, hair wet, going out the door, and there was no ride to school. He was going to bed. You walked to school, and I lived on Main Street near Evans. I had to high school. Yeah. It's a good while to school. Yep.
Hey, I used to live on Spring Street, growing up near the Generations Bank, the new facility. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and in the dead of winter, a lot worse than it is outside. We had no buses. They stop at every house now.
Yeah.
We had no buses back then. Nope. There was a few. The Weber boys had to go down Spring Street, over the bridge. You know how cold that was? Yeah. I thought we were going to freeze to death. And we had to walk up Cayuga Street to Minders Academy.
Yep.
It was weird. I mean, they didn't think about us back in...
You guys sure are a couple of old curmudgeons
walking
through 2
back
feet
in the
of
late
snow.
50s, in the early 60s, Jim, these kids today are spoiled. They stop at every house.
It's funny that
we never had a bus stop at our house.
No.
Are you serious?
They're canceling school now because it might be minus 20 below, right?
Forget it.
I don't remember that. I really don't. I am aging myself, but...
For cold, never. For a lot of snow, but never cold.
Now everybody gets a ride.
I tell the great story. Everybody talks about being a paper boy. The dog story, if you missed it, the dog story, my mother bugged me one day. You got to be a paper boy. Everybody earns a couple of bucks being a paper boy. All right, Mom. Well, of course, I had to start in the wintertime. So I got my bag and I got my 42 papers. And I have this ability, or lack thereof, of being really keyed into something unless I'm really on board with it. So I'm going house to house, freezing. I had no heavy jacket, of course, trying to be cool. And... I got maybe, $1.50 every week or something like that. It was ridiculous. And then we had this week of really frigid weather. And I remember going across the bridge from Spring Street by Doran's there. And I recall thinking, there's got to be a better way to make at age, 10 or 11 or 12, got to be a better way. And the water had not frozen. The canal had not frozen yet. But it was close. And I decided to make my stance, and it was like It's a Wonderful Life, Jim. I stopped the middle of the bridge as you go across from Doran's, and I decided this is not for me. And I took the paper bag over from my shoulder, and I launched the entire bag. And as I launched the bag, the papers literally, some flew out of the bag. And I turned around and went back home. I don't know, I snuck in the house, and the phone started ringing. Mrs. Weber, we don't have our paper. And about 22 calls later, my mother tracks me down upstairs as I was, I don't know, doing something, and she said, honey, what happened to the papers? I said, I quit.
Your career was over.
And my papers, and my parents had to pay for the papers. I got killed, by the way. My stepfather actually killed me, literally, physically. I can't even do that today, but back then, we all recall. And I remember throwing the bag in the papers, and I said, that's it, I'm out. No way am I working these paper routes. And I admire anybody, by the way, who is a paper boy or a paper girl. But the dog, that wasn't for me. I wasn't about to freeze anymore.
You went from print media to audio right
there. Yeah, that's right. Hey, let's talk about the boys. Let's talk about the boys. The Bloomfield Bombers, we all remember the Bloomfield Bombers were awesome way back when. They're back to playing outstanding ball. They have got their level of play up now. They got a chance to play Perry tonight, and that game will be at Calmum at 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, congrats to Coach John Maston on winning sectional title. He beat Early College on Saturday afternoon in the War Memorial. Now, the winner of that game will face Clyde Savannah, and Perry's very, very good. I watched them really roll over a good Wheatland Chili team. Was it last night?
You've been at that place so many times.
I know, I'm getting confused. We've been there a lot this week, but yeah, good luck, Bloomfield.
And we don't have to send any more kudos out to the Clyde Savannah and Mr. Jackson's team. Jimmy, they're rolling. They're steamrolling. They look tough, the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, and they're a team that we saw a lot this year. Big three, Cam DeSanto, Jermaine Bogan, Joe Faniel, and Michael Turner's very good as well. And Jason Doig's their fifth starter, who really manages the game well. But they didn't seem to blow out a lot of teams. Ironically, the one team they think they did blow out was Minders in Seneca Falls back in December.
They got them pretty good.
But they're playing teams in league like in North Rose Wolcott and ER and Lions and pretty tight games. And that wasn't the case Saturday afternoon, where they destroyed Calmum, who on paper Calmum looked like maybe a deeper team, a team with some size that they didn't see a lot in Wayne County. But I tell you, those guys are on a mission, and congratulations to Tim Jackson on winning his second straight sectional title.
And a gentleman who's been on my show and has been with Jimmy in Upstate Orange, Brian Miller, the outstanding head coach. I love Brian Miller as a coach. He really gets into it, stomping up and down the sidelines when a call goes against him. He's classic video material, but he's a good guy, and we consider him a close friend to Finger Lakes One. The Brian Miller Geneva Panther boys team yesterday against Batavia. I listened to most of that game. It was amazing. They just run and gun, and they got those bigs, and they just know what they're doing. They are outstanding, and they play Jimmy Wednesday night. And we're not sure exactly of the site. I had heard it was the Blue Cross Arena, but then I hear somebody say
is the Blue
it's
Cross,
Rush
Henrietta.
So we'll get that figured out for you, and as soon as Jim gets the updated information, we'll have it on the website. But what an outstanding effort. Geneva Panther boys team. And when I saw them,
let me tell you about this game.
Yep.
Batavia beat Newark. We were hoping for a Newark-Geneva final. It was set up to be that way. Right. So Batavia played Newark in the semis, and Newark lost that game, and Batavia got all of their points in that win from two people, except for 2 points.
Exactly.
All of them. Jeff Redman, who's a 6'7" guy, and their point guard, Justice Fagan, who had 28 points, and Newark couldn't stop him. So last night, I'm wondering, what's Miller going to do to stop Justice Fagan? And Akia Jackson, one of Geneva's big three, was on him all game, and he shut him down, and so I texted Brian Miller after the game. I said, "Congrats, coach!" And I knew third year head coach wins a sectional title for Geneva, the first one since 1999. Feels pretty good for him, I'm sure, this morning. But he said, I was talking to Akia Jackson about how good this Fagan kid is, and Akia took home a tape and watched it all night, and he wasn't going to let him have it. He shut him down, and you watched him out there. He was fighting through screens. He was in his grill all game, picking them up three-quarter court, and Akia Jackson was not MVP. Stephen Dolgus, the point guard, was, because he hit 1,000,000 threes. Right. But in my mind, nothing against Stephen, but in my mind, Akia Jackson probably should have been the MVP.
They are playing good, man. They are going good, and congrats. And by the way, as we are running late here, we'll wrap up in a minute or so. I must tell you, in all the years I've been covering high school basketball and broadcasting it or watching it, I got to think that yesterday's Geneva Batavia game, maybe, just maybe, the quickest high school game in the history since I've been doing it, since 1970. We believe that game tipped at 7 minutes after 5, and we believe that game ended at 8 minutes after 6.
I was there. It went fast.
I'm trying to tell you, folks, that game with halftime, I didn't even think that at halftime, was like an hour.
They said they didn't blow a whistle. They couldn't.
I have never, ever seen a game that fast. Yeah. I looked over at Mary. She looked over at me and says, really? It's over? It was almost like it was in the third quarter. So Geneva Batavia game, in my mind, might be the quickest high school game I've ever seen or ever heard of in my life. Amazing. I mean, high school games don't go an hour, folks, but pretty scary. So congrats to all the area teams, win or lose, as you continue your motion down to the states, try to get to the state level. Outstanding. Even the teams that lost, we talked about the Minders girls and the South Seneca girls, and I thought Newark boys were one of the outstanding teams I had seen in many, many years. Micah Wright, and they got eliminated. But, hey, nothing to be ashamed of. You played your heart out. You left it on the court. Win or lose, you played well, and you've made your fans happy at home, Jim, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, all you want from kids to do is get all they can out of that.
Exactly.
That opportunity. And it's just amazing sitting there and listening to everything, right? Yep. Think of the teams that are still playing for the Finger Lakes area.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Finger Lakes basketball is healthy, that's for sure.
It is.
You know, we see it, like I said, we belong to these travel leagues that are all Finger Lakes based, boys and girls, and there's some good basketball being played. There's good teams. And it's going to, I'm telling you, we're healthy for a long time. I know we are in this town, and I know other towns have very good talent. It's going to be interesting to watch us continue.
Well, Jimmy, thanks again for coming in, and we time flies in this show.
Sure does.
It's amazing. You have to check out. And by the way, we're working on some guests next week. I won't be here on the couch for the show. Our viewership probably be up now because I won't be here next week. Jim will come up with some surprises for you. He always does. We're trying to pin down the outstanding up-and-coming coach. Speaking of coach, Zach Young, who's done an outstanding job with the Lions program. You know Zach.
He's also come on to the Finger Lakes One team. He called a couple games this weekend.
Yes, and by the way, if he ever gives up coaching, he can join the broadcast team. He did a nice job.
I think he, with some way some of the seasons go, sometime dealing with all the issues with kids and stuff, that they might be able to convince him to do that because it's a lot of work.
He works.
A coach.
I know Zach, very well.
Yep.
Zach works very hard.
Yeah. So
we're trying to
great coach. And
yes,
that last year he won his first sectional title and felt so happy for him. And that's the same way I feel about Brian Miller this year.
Yeah.
And by the way, roses goes out to the Lions administration because I asked Zach to come on my show. Of course, it's 9:30 to 10 o'clock live on Monday mornings. And he said, hey, Dog, I'd love to come on, but I got to get approvals. And to Steve Veter and the principal and the administration over there, he got it approved. So he's coming on at this 9:30 to 10 o'clock segment. They're letting him come out of school to come here to do this show, which I thought was pretty classy as well. So we got permissions. We're all set to go. The only thing right now we're trying to pin down is the date. We'll let you know when Zach Young will be on the couch here on Weber this week. Well, listen, folks, again, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
You. And
thank you, guys.
Go SU basketball. Let's see how it turns out this week. They got a big game around 9. Of course, they wrap up their regular season Sunday against Florida State. Take care, everybody. If you want to come on the show as a guest, talk on any topic you want, let us know. We'll be more than glad to save you a spot on the couch. Take care. That's a look at Weber this week. My way.